Hi, my name is Stephanie Lanter, and this is basically just a review of my community needs assessment of potential pollution-related health risk in the Ashland tri-state region. This study was undertaken to raise awareness about the higher than normal rates of cancer and COPD in this particular portion of the Ohio River Valley where there are many industrial manufacturing facilities. First, let me explain what a community needs assessment is. A community needs assessment is a tool for gathering information about a target population to understand the extent of a problem affecting them. When such a problem has been identified, such as the air and water pollution in this area, it is important to figure out what your needs are in order to properly address this issue. There are a lot of different factors involved in the planning of this community needs assessment, including a preset list of questions, a sample number of people to answer these questions, and then numerous examples of observations and experiences. A needs assessment can be completed in a variety of different ways. However, it typically involves interviews to solicit responses to a standardized set of questions regarding a problem in the community. These interviews can be performed in person, by phone, by email, or by written responses sent in by traditional mail. In this particular case, I sent each of you a list of questions by email because I was not able to conduct face-to-face interviews. The questions that you were given were designed not only to identify the potential pollution-related health problems affecting the tri-state area, but also to record your perceptions of this problem. I also sent emails with 10 different but relevant questions to the EPA, the CDC, and the Greenup, Boyd, and Lawrence County Health Departments for their input and insight to this problem. Today I will summarize the results of my community needs assessment for the tri-state area so we can work together towards raising awareness about this particular problem. I chose the Ashland and tri-state area for my community needs assessment because this is my hometown. My family and I moved to Eastern Kentucky during my senior year of high school, and I was surprised to learn of the large number of health problems and families of my friends who have lived in this area all their lives. The tri-state area is geographically located in the western foothills of the Appalachian Mountains, and it includes the land adjacent to the Ohio River that runs along the borders of Kentucky, Ohio, and West Virginia. There are 3 mid-sized cities located in this area. There's Ashland, Kentucky, which has a population of 21,684 people. In Ironton, Ohio, there is a population of 11,129 people. And then in Huntington, West Virginia, there's a population of 49,000 people. There are also very numerous small communities in the metropolitan service area that contribute to a total population of 363,000 people. The tri-state area is an industrial hub that is home to some of the nation's largest steel, oil, and chemical manufacturing companies. And I believe that there may be a link between the air and water pollution produced by these facilities and the high rate of cancer and COPD in the local community. These factories include industries known for producing highly irritating and carcinogenic wastes such as the Ashland Oil, Armco Coke, Armco Steel, Calgon Corporation, Columbia Gas, Dow Chemicals, Inco Alloys, to name a few. These chemicals are routinely released into the air in local waterways in fairly large amounts, and the Ohio River led the nation in terms of pollution discharges from the industry in 2013. Another study ranked Kentucky the #1 state for toxic air pollution from power plants. The compounding effect of these industrial pollutants is a unique meteorological conditions in the tri-state area that does not allow for the rapid dispersion of air pollution due to the presence of numerous hills and valleys. Now that we have identified the geographic location, the demographics, and the potential sources of pollution in the tri-state area, I would like to discuss the goals of this community needs assessment. My first goal was to describe the makeup and history of Ashland, Kentucky community in order to provide a context within which to collect data on its current concerns. In this case, it would be the collective health of the community. So what I did is I outlined the historical health problems in this particular geographic region. I attempted to gather information from national resources such as the CDC and EPA agencies, and from several other regional health departments. Next, I decided that there was enough information from the resources to determine whether or not a cause and effect relationship exists between local pollution and various health problems in the area. I then assessed the quality of the information, and finally I reviewed the strengths and problems regarding local pollution and potential health problems. My second goal was to describe what matters to people in the community, including the description of the particular health issues that the people in Ashland were concerned about, in this case the cancer and conditions of COPD, and then the importance of these health issues to the community and the methods that I would use to evaluate the health concerns of people living in Ashland, such as through interviews and surveys. My third goal was to describe what matters the most to key stakeholders, including who else cares about the health in Ashland community, and what do they care about. Also, what stakeholders would want to know about the possible relationship between local pollution and health problems and the citizens of Ashland. For example, like who is affected and how many and what factors are contributing to this problem. I would then like to prioritize the populations and subgroups that stakeholders intend to benefit from the effort. Finally, I would use multiple methods to gather information, including statistics from federal agencies, surveys, and interviews. My fourth goal was to describe the evidence indicating whether or not the potential pollution-related health problem should be a priority issue, including the community-level indications, such as the rates of cancer or COPD, possibly related to local and air and water pollution, how frequently these problems occurred, such as incidence of cancer and COPD in the last 6 to 12 months compared to similar statistics for the rest of the U.S., how many in the Ashland area are affected by cancer or COPD and the severity of their effects, how feasible it was to address the issue of the pollution and health problems in Ashland, and finally, the possible impact or consequences of addressing these pollution and health problems. My fifth and final goal was to describe the barriers and resources for addressing the possible relationships between the local air and water pollutants and the occurrence of cancer and COPD in the community. These included barriers to solving the problem or achievement of the goal, such as denial or the discounting of the problem, and how they could be minimized, such as reframing the issue. What resources and assets are available and how the group can tap into these resources to address the issue, whether that be the federal and state grants to identify a possible relationship between local and pollution and local health problems, and then the community context of situation that might make it easier or more difficult to address this issue. Based on this assessment, I would investigate the role of the pollution and the causation of cancer and COPD in the Ashland tri-state community. At this point, I will review the questions that I submitted for the interviews. I directed 10 questions to the CDC and the EPA, and I'll go over those questions now. The first one I asked was, how does the incidence of cancer in the Ashland community compare to the incidence of cancer in the rest of the United States? The second question I asked was, how does the incidence of COPD in the Ashland community compare to the incidence of COPD in the rest of the United States? The third question was, has the EPA identified any significant contamination of the local drinking water in Ashland, and if so, what types of contaminants are present? The fourth question was, has the EPA identified any significant contamination of the air quality in Ashland, and if so, what type of contaminants are present? The fifth question was, do pollution-related health problems preferentially affect more men or women? Does pollution-related health problems differentially affect younger or older people? The seventh question, is there a correlation between people with pollution-related health problems and their jobs? Question 8, is there a correlation between people with pollution-related health problems and the distance between their residence and the factories along the Ohio River? Ninth question, is there a task force actively investigating the pollution problem in the Ashland tri-state area? And the last question was, are there any suspect companies along the Ohio River cooperating with the federal government to correct these problems if present? Then I directed the following questions to you all as local residents of the tri-state area. And the questions I asked you guys were, first, do you feel that Ashland community or the tri-state area region has more or less pollution compared to similar cities in the United States? The second question I asked you all was, do you or does anyone in your family have cancer or COPD? The third question, if you answered yes to the previous question number 2, how long has the affected individual lived in Ashland or the tri-state area? The fourth question was, how close or far away do these individuals live from the factories along the Ohio River? The fifth question, if you or anyone in your family has cancer or COPD, did they drink city or well water? The sixth question was, did the people with cancer or COPD have any significant risk factors for these conditions, such as tobacco use, other than living in the Ashland community? The seventh one, are there any other people with similar problems living within a 5-mile radius of the person with cancer or COPD? The eighth question is, do you recall any specific instances of known hazardous pollution problems in the local community, such as chemical spills or the accidental release of airborne pollutants? Number 9, do you think that there is more research should be performed to determine if there's a cause and effect relationship between air and water pollution in the Ashland tri-state area and serious health problems such as COPD and cancer? And the last question I asked you all was, do you have any personal recommendations or solutions for this potential problem? For example, stricter testing of the air and water near these factories or penalties for the pollution violations. I would now like to review the interview responses I received from you all. Unfortunately, the questionnaires submitted to the CDC and the EPA and the 3 county health departments were unanswered. The CDC commented that it was unable to complete the questionnaire due to the extremely large number of similar questions posed by many other students all across the United States, and the CDC did not respond at all. Of the 3 county health departments that were contacted, only Christy Boland responded with a list of several links that she felt might be helpful for the project. She was unable to complete the questionnaire because she was out of town at a Kentucky Public Health Conference. Fortunately, though, I did have a much better response rate to the questionnaires that I sent to the residents of the tri-state area. 6 out of the 8 local residents who were emailed questionnaires returned the forms for a 75% response rate. These included 4 women and 2 men ranging in the age from 30 to 67 years old. 3 of the respondents lived in Flatwoods, Kentucky, 1 lives in Ashland, Kentucky, and 1 lives in Wheelersburg, Ohio, and the other lives in Coal Grove, Ohio. Here are the specific responses to each of the questions that I asked. So I'm going to hand out the questions so y'all can look over them. Question 1, all of you felt that there is more pollution in the Ashland tri-state area than in similar sized cities in the United States. For question number 2, there were multiple cases of cancer in the first-degree relatives of the respondents, including 5 people with lung cancer, 2 people with colon cancer, 2 people with breast cancer, 1 person with ovarian cancer, 1 person with cancer of the esophagus, 1 person with prostate cancer, 1 person with kidney cancer, and then 1 person with skin cancer. And then there were respiratory problems, including asthma and COPD, that occurred in 2 of the first-degree relatives of the respondents. For question 3, all of the people with cancer or respiratory problems were lifelong residents of the Ashland tri-state area. For question 4, all but 1 of the above victims of cancer and COPD lived within the 3 to 5 mile radius of the Ohio River, which translates into 93% of the people. Question 5, 3 of the respondents' relatives drink strictly city water, 1 of the respondents' relatives drink strictly well water, and then 2 of the respondents' relatives drink both city and well water. For question 6, there were significant additional risk factors for cancer and or COPD, and they included 3 of the 5 people with lung cancer smoked cigarettes, 2 of the 5 people with lung cancer had known exposure to chemicals or pesticides, and 1 of the 2 people with COPD smoked cigarettes. For question number 7, 4 of the 6 respondents knew of multiple other people with lung cancer and or COPD living within 5 miles of their relatives that were afflicted with these conditions. Question number 8. Although 4 of the 6 respondents did not recall any specific circumstances of acute chemical exposures in this area, 2 of them recalled multiple accidental exposures in the area over the years. These included the discovery of significant contamination of the water in the south side public pool secondary to its location near a known water, waste, and chemical dump site. The discovery of large amounts of asbestos within several of the local factories. The accidental leaking of the chemical MCHM into the Elk River in West Virginia in January 2014. Now, although this incident occurred near Charleston, West Virginia, and did not immediately affect the Ashland tri-state region, the Elk River does eventually drain into the Ohio River and flows through our study area. Then there was a illicit gas leak into the East Fork of the Little Sandy River in Greenup County, Kentucky. And then there are also multiple unreported chemical spills into the Ohio River from several of the local factories. Question 9. All the respondents felt that there is more research should be performed to establish a possible cause and effect relationships between the industrial pollution and local health problems in the Ashland tri-state region. And then the last question, number 10, the respondents' personal recommendations to address these concerns involved primarily stricter testing of the local air and water quality near these factories with stiffer fines and penalties for documented instances of pollution. However, one respondent suggested not only better education of employees working with these dangerous chemicals, but also the increased use of personal protective equipment by these employees. He also recommended exploring the use of alternative, less toxic chemicals for use in the manufacturing process. 2 of the 6 respondents did not offer any recommendations or solutions to this problem. I would now like to spend the rest of our time together discussing where we should go from here.
I think we should make other members of the community aware of the health problems.
And how do you think we should go about that?
I recommend we start with informal discussions like at church with our families and friends and even other social functions.
Yeah, I agree.
I think we need to contact our local senators, representatives for the government to ask for their help. They have considerably more influence on the EPA and CDC than what we do, and we need their help desperately.
I agree, their help would definitely be very beneficial.
Well, unfortunately, I think that any project that might result in punishment of these companies will cause an uproar among some of the primary stakeholders. I mean, after all, these large companies that are polluting the rivers and our environment are the ones employing the citizens.
Yes, this would certainly be like the largest barrier that we would have in facing to correct this problem.
Nonetheless, we need to address this problem now because the health of our children and grandchildren are at stake.
Yeah, I agree completely. We certainly want to stop this ongoing problem as fast as we can. Does anyone else have any comments though?
Well, Paige, I just want to thank you for performing this community needs assessment because it really highlights the magnitude of the problem in this area and it gives us an opportunity to address it in an appropriate fashion. And maybe we can make some meaningful changes.
Well, you're very welcome. I honestly have a personal interest in this problem because my parents do still live in this area. But in conclusion, we have established that there are significant concerns about possible pollution-related problems in the tri-state area. And I would like to thank each and every one of y'all for your participation and attendance here today. Hopefully this assessment will lead to positive changes for this community. Thank you.
Thank you.